Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Sierra. For this week's episode, we are back with a full-on bookish episode.
I'm
for all of our
so
readers,
excited.
get excited.
We love talking about books. We do every once in a while dedicated book videos on our YouTube channel. We also, we like to keep people updated in our vlogs, and of course, we do little segments on the podcast too. But after we talked about our last ranking, our tier ranking episode, we are going to do book tropes. We just never got around to it because the episode was already way too long. And so then you guys said, please do a dedicated book video. Please do the book tropes. So we're also going to do book boyfriends and book tropes. And then I think we're also going to share our most anticipated upcoming reads for the summer. And I'm just very excited. I love talking about books. And
be warned that there may be a few kind of spoilers in here. I think it's hard to talk about the book boyfriends themselves without talking about things that they did.
But we're going to try and be vague.
Yeah.
Or if it seems like it's a spoiler, it probably was something that isn't super important to the plot or pretty predictable. Hopefully. At least in our opinion. So, yeah. But first, we always like to do our weekly spotlights. So, what do you have going on? What was your highlight this week?
My highlight was going to the farmer's market, which you guys can actually watch. It would be up by this time. We vlogged our Thursday after work. We went to the Valley Junction Farmers Market, got some good food, saw some dogs, and it was just a nice little after work activity.
Every day that goes by is a day closer to Sierra adopting a dog. So we've been taking it, the conversation has been coming up pretty consistently now. So we're kind of, by we, I mean mostly Sierra. She's the one that needs to decide to get the dog.
Megan's the excited dog aunt, whatever you want to say. Who bears no real responsibility with this dog.
But we are kind of actively in the looking process, I would say, of, if puppies get posted and they're getting ready for adoption, then we're kind of actually trying to consider going to meet the puppies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So. And since I'm considering probably adopting one, there is a little bit of hoops you have to jump through to I think there might be a home inspection or something, and I don't know what everything is, but it's a little bit of a process to actually get the dog.
So, hopefully, maybe in a month or so, we'll see.
I don't know, we'll see.
Otherwise, my weekly spotlight is, let's see. We went to the marina for the first time this week, too. It was just kind of the weather was really nice this week, and not that it hasn't been in the past, but it was just we had some good opportunities to go do some things after work, get out and enjoy the sun. I even I did some yard work. I got off early a couple days this week because my caseload isn't as full, which is good because then I could come home and I did some yard work and I was in the sun, and then I was I'm gonna get my hammock out and I'm gonna read a little bit. And then I was struggling because I don't like wearing my glasses outside, but I was trying to read my book, and then I was I can't really see what I'm reading. But it was good. I just felt I got a lot of time in the sun and outside.
All right. Well, without further ado, should we get started with our book boyfriends?
I'm wondering if we should start with book tropes in case people are just more generic book lovers.
And then dive deep?
Yeah.
Okay. So this book tropes one that I found is actually on tiermaker.com. I don't know if I can see who made it, but it's just a general one. You can probably find it. It was the first one I found. So the tiers are God tier as the top, obsessed, average, not my favorite, and could live without / unreadable.
Are there any just off the top of your mind that you're this is my favorite trope or anything like that?
I do love an enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers situation where there's this animosity towards one another. I know some people get really in the fantasy world, a lot of people are that's true enemies to lovers, and in romance that's just regular old romance. There's no such thing as enemies to lovers because it's not the world life-altering conflict that fantasy has. So some people will say rivals to lovers, or I don't know, something else to that effect.
I do love a good enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers.
I will say friends to lovers, I don't think I love as much as other people.
I feel whenever I read a friends to lovers, it always is it's a feel-good one, and I enjoy it. And sometimes like they surprise me and like I enjoy it more than I was expecting. Fake dating is like another popular trope where I'm like, it can really be done well. And generally I would say I like it more than I don't. But usually like you're reading those books and you're like, this is so unrealistic. Like no one is doing this in real life.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's still fun to read about.
Should we get into actually placing them? So first one is age gap. I don't like an age gap romance.
I have never read, like, the only one I can think of is Part of Your World, which was like the woman was older and it was probably still only like he was like 28 and she was like 35, right? Like that's like the age.
It wasn't crazy. I do think All Roads Lead Here might have been like a small age gap, but again, I don't know the characters' actual ages, and I don't think it was
the Love
crazy.
Hypothesis. Wasn't that like kind of an age gap because he's like older a few years down the road in his PhD, but like again, I don't remember exact ages or not. And none of these books, I feel like none of these books are labeled as
to
like,
me, age gap is like my ex-boyfriend's dad or something. Yeah. And I haven't really read any of those, but I don't imagine it being my thing.
I feel like it's just like something that I would like hear and it would like turn me off from a book rather than like be like, oh, I need to read.
So I would say could live without or not my favorite.
I'm fine with either of those.
We'll do not my favorite just because, again, I don't know what the age gap needs to be for it to be considered an age gap romance, but I feel like we've read and enjoyed a few where like the characters are not like the same age. It's been okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's like sometimes hasn't been like the focus of the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Enemies to lovers.
I mean, I feel like this is like a classic for a reason.
I'm willing to put this at God tier if
I am too.
You are.
I
just love like the snarkiness and the banter that it creates within the characters, because sometimes if they're so like friendly or into each other right off the bat, there's no like fun banter that goes like, back and forth. Them,
like their emotions twisting and you see things changing between them. Right now I'm reading my first fantasy in like a very, very long time. I'm reading Red Queen, and so it's like, you know, it's the fantasy thing you're just talking about where it's like they're literally like rivals. Like this one girl's getting ready to like lead the revolution and the guy she's interested in is quite literally on the opposite side. So we'll see how it plays out.
I'm reading Happy Place right now, and I wouldn't say it follows this specifically, but the two main characters were engaged and they had broken up and then they're on this trip together. And so, like, in that sense, they're, like, kind of enemies because, like, they broke up.
Usually you, like, don't wish the best for your, ex.
And I'm enjoying it so far, so.
It is, like, it's a classic.
And, like, for Emily Henry, her other books, Beach Read is kind of, like, that enemy or rivals to lovers trope. Book Lovers also has kind of, like, these two people have animosity towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
People We Meet on Vacation is, like, the only one that's friends to lovers. And that's my least favorite, so. Yeah. I think that goes to show I'm more of an enemies to lovers girly. Next one, speaking of, Friends to Lovers.
Friends to Lovers. What are like the biggest, most prominent books that come to mind when you think of this trope?
Every Summer After, Love in Other Words, People Be on Vacation.
Love in Other Words is literally like one of my favorite books. Like I just like, it's a classic one that I always think back to. And
I don't think back to it that much. I gave it 4 stars.
I gave it 4 stars, and then like I thought of it so much, and it was just like such a constant reference that I had that like not too long ago I went back and changed it to a 5-star read for me. I really loved that book. I was wondering what happened because like, here's the thing: it's kind of like it's usually friends to like strangers back to friends, back to
strangers,
to lovers, and I really loved it. Although there's some books where it is kind of like the easy way out, especially if they don't have any sort of like animosity or like distancing stage, then like it just is like, I mean, that's kind of what Summer of Broken Rules is too. Like nothing goes on between them. Like I really can enjoy like a lot of these that are like more YA or just like not as high stakes. I think it's refreshing to read those books every once in a while, but you don't have as much of like the tension between the characters as enemies to lovers.
Mm-hmm.
So I would still put this in whatever the second one is.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
Next is Good Girl, Bad Boy.
I do enjoy myself a Grumpy Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just because like it's a fun, different. I read these books knowing that like there's things about the characters that are annoying. There's things that make this relationship isn't like probably the healthiest. The communication's not always great. Like, they're grumpy for a reason. It's
But
just because they're not getting their feelings out.
I love it because I'm like, I love seeing like guy specifically, like who's just hates the world, whatever.
Yeah.
And this girl comes in, he like flips a switch.
Yeah, like the ones that come to mind first would be like the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score is very much like that. The Dreamland Billionaire series, Sierra hasn't read either of these.
No, I'm just
very
like
much
smiling.
like that. What are some of the ones you think of?
I just feel like they're not like hardcore, like good girl, bad boy, but like more grumpy sunshine, kind of like you said. I feel like Allie Hazelwood's books are kind of like that, where the girl's just like happy-go-lucky, and the guy's kind of like avoidant.
Or even like an opposite of this one, where it's like, I read Mine Would Be You, and that was kind of like, it wasn't like a huge grumpy sunshine, but it was like the guy was the sunshine, and she was a little bit grumpy.
That's the next one.
I didn't know if that was like a popular enough trope where it was on there. Okay.
So, hold that thought. But, I mean, I really like it. I'm willing to say either obsessed or god tier for that one.
I would say I haven't given it any of those books.
It Happened When
Summer
is also that. Grumpy Sunshine.
True.
Like, I just love when the guy is like, I don't want to like anything.
It Happened One Summer might be one of my favorite ones of the ones we talked about, even though, like, I think I gave all of these 4 stars. It's, like, it's not quite on the 5, but, like, I do love all of them so much, and they stick in my head as, like, very, like, books that I remember.
So should we do
I
obsessed?
think we should, let's put in obsessed for now.
Okay. Next, good boy, bad girl.
I'm trying to think of other examples. I wouldn't say, like, Mine Would Be You. She's not, like, a bad girl or anything, but she's just, like, more grumpier, kind of passive, and
I feel like this is for people who want, like, golden retriever boys.
And they give
like,
that
I'm
energy.
not drawn necessarily to golden retriever boys.
I loved that book, though. And you gave it 4 stars. I know, like, it wasn't, like, you weren't obsessed with it or anything. But I do love reading, like, as much as I love the grumpy
I can't even
trope.
remember the book right now.
They meet at a bar. He's the best man.
Oh, yeah.
There is something just, like, nice to have, like, a guy that has, like, such a kind heart and good soul. You think, like, this is a more realistic take on a relationship, probably.
But it's not as fun.
It's not. It's not as fun to read about. So I
go average on this one. That's right in the middle.
And I can't really think of any other ones that come top of mind.
And I feel like,
so
I don't know. For me,
sometimes I feel like you start getting, like, 99% mine is, like, not like this, but, like, as soon as we start having an annoying girl character, I'm out of the book.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to say. I feel like when I think of bad girl stuff, I don't know if authors just don't write women as well in that lens, but I feel like it always just, like, irks me. The female character always rubs me the wrong way, and I don't know if it's just because, like, I don't find them as relatable, since, like, if I were to fall into one of the tropes, I'd fall more into, like, the good girl trope, and I just don't relate as much. But yeah, I am fine putting that one in average.
I'd agree.
Secret relationship.
This is not fake dating, is it?
No.
Secret relationship.
I don't
What is an
know.
example of a book that I've read that has this?
Like, I don't
trope?
know that we have read secret relationship books.
I don't feel like I would like that.
I feel like it's a type, if I were to guess, they'd be like secretly dating and like avoiding telling their friends or something. Forbidden love is later.
Okay, never mind.
Should we just put it in average because we don't know?
Yeah, I'm like, I need to, like, look up books that have that or something.
Fake dating.
I love a good fake dating trope. Some examples would include
Megan's like, I can't think of any of them.
The one that I was just talking about.
The Love Hypothesis?
No, but that does have it. The Basketball Star.
Oh, The Right Move.
The Right Move. I loved that book. That was like a 4.5 stars for me.
The reason never makes any sense.
It doesn't.
Like, there's
you're like, you
very
could
few
there's a million things
reasons
you could have
in
done
life
before this.
that you would need to date someone for no reason, but it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun watching them being like, is this real or is
It
this
always
like
is like,
fake?
yeah. And that's the issue in the book. And then it's just like, okay, well, clearly, come on, they're not faking it. Like, as the reader, you're just like, you know this is more and there's more going on, but, like, the
That's how I
characters
felt.
still play
I
down.
did like The Love Hypothesis, but like he would be doing stuff that obviously was beyond what he would do if it was just like dating her out of convenience. And she was like, but he just thinks I'm some annoying girl and doesn't really want to be doing this.
Yeah.
I'd be like, girl, he likes you a little bit, obviously, but I think
it always makes for a fun, like, entertaining read. And I usually, like, when I hear fake dating, I usually am intrigued. Like, we were in a bookstore yesterday, and I picked up a book that I'd never heard of before. And it had, like, a fake dating trope, and I was like, ooh, that's intriguing.
So should we go obsessed, average, god tier?
I would say, I wouldn't say obsessed, so I feel like we could put it in average.
Okay. Next one is Forbidden Love. I feel like this is more falling into fantasy realm, which I have not read fantasy. Unless Outlander could maybe be Forbidden Love, but it's not, I don't know. It's not really forbidden. It's just maybe she shouldn't.
I feel like this is one that fits more into like the fantasy realm and genre, which I can see myself diving a little bit more into. But here's my thoughts right now with like where I'm at and reading The Red Queen is I am enjoying it. I'm excited to see where it keeps going, and I think that like I'm gonna enjoy the book when all is said and done. But I'm not like dying to go read and pick up my next fantasy just because of this book and it introducing me to like the realm of fantasy. It's been good, but I don't know that the fantasy aspect has necessarily like enhanced my desire at all. So,
I mean, I feel like I can't speak too much on Forbidden Love.
I would just put it in average.
Okay. Billionaire. You can speak on this one because I feel like I haven't read like a true billionaire romance.
The Dreamland Billionaire series. Is there anything? I've also read By a Thread, which the main guy in that is like really rich and his family owns like this magazine that he's now like taking over. I've read 2 of the Dreamland Billionaires series books. I've enjoyed both of them. I enjoyed By a Thread. To be honest, I feel like more than just like the billionaire thing, it falls into like that grumpy sunshine category, I feel like most of the time.
Does the billionaire lens, like, do they provide like a lot of materialistic things, or like
I feel like they're always like so guarded. They like don't trust anyone. They're usually very like work focused because they're rich for a reason usually, and that's like what their life revolves around. So that would be like the main things that I think of in terms of that. And then also like in some ways too, like money is no object, so like they can like throw out XYZ thing, which like I'm not like a materialistic person, so in some ways you're kind of like, you know, you're reading like this, he's doing this for her, getting her this thing, and it's like
you're like, that doesn't translate to love for you.
The girl character will kind of be like, I don't need that, or like whatever, but he's like, it literally is like nothing, and so whatever. I don't necessarily feel like it adds that much. I feel like I prefer just like the grumpy aspect versus like he's a billionaire. So
reading the bottom 3, would you go average, not my favorite, could live without / unreadable?
I would say like not my favorite, I guess, just because that's not like the key component of the books that I enjoy.
Okay, next one is royalty. The only one I can think of for this is Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Yeah.
It was fun, like in the sense that obviously they're very high profile people, both of the male main characters, and so there's like this sense of secrecy. Ooh, was that Forbidden Love? Was that secret relationship? We didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
So we have to like now figure out which trope made it the best. I think that, I mean, it's probably like not true royalty. I feel like people probably think of like kings, princes, princesses.
I feel like the Forbidden Love component was what made it probably the best.
I'm still not moving Forbidden Love, but
that's fine.
Royalty, since that is my only experience, I think, with reading royalty romance, and I don't know that I could do without. Like, yeah, that one will go on the bottom. Next one will also go on the bottom. Mafia. Couldn't be bothered to read a mafia romance. No hate to you if you like to read them. I just like any show, movie, whatever. If the mafia's in it, then I'm out.
If the mafia is in, we are out.
Like, I just can't do with like the storylines.
I'm out.
Which one is that?
There is one.
Oh, like Mr. Monk meets the Godfather or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. Meg and I are finishing up our Monk rewatch this weekend.
2 episodes left. 3 episodes, whatever.
Workplace romance.
I have read, well, if you come to mind, the first one that I read was The Hating Game. And I loved that.
I just know if I were to reread it, I'd be like, what?
And I don't know if it was like the movie that tainted what I thought I read, or maybe if I reread it, I would be like, it wasn't, like, it doesn't hold up. But what's weird too is, like, if you read the reviews to the Hating Game movie, last I checked, everyone loved the movie. And when Sierra and I watched it, I was like getting the ick with myself for rating the book so highly, even though like the movie kind of did just what the book said.
And like now when I think back to the book, I'm just like, that is kind of weird.
But like I ate it up. I read it so fast. I gave it 5 stars, no question, when I read it. So, you know, there's that. I've also read By a Thread. I already mentioned that before because that kind of has like the billionaire thing going on. That's a workplace romance because like she gets hired on to work at this magazine company. And then Dreamland Billionaire kind of also like they work with the people that are the romance interests, so it's kind of similar. Any others that I can think of that I've read?
I feel like I can't think of like any like office, like we work in the same building romance.
I feel like I don't seek these out, but if I hear
there was
books,
though, Just My Type is a book that I saw was like an office workplace romance, and I was kind of like, should I read that?
Like it's an intriguing. I think it's an intriguing concept, but like I don't usually seek out like I need my next office place romance book. But if I'm reading like what's going on in the books, like it certainly doesn't turn me off from reading a book.
Mm-hmm. I would say average maybe for that one. I really wish Just My Type. If you read it, let me know if it's good because I think it was like hovering in like the high 3s and I was like not sure if it was worth it. But the cover's really cute and I was interested in reading another workplace romance. Stuck Together. I love this one. Like that this is forced proximity, right? Okay. Like when they like have to be together. Yeah.
I was like, stuck together? What do you mean?
Like
they're
dependent
glued
on
together
each other
or what?
No, like forced proximity, they're like in the same area.
I also love that.
Can you think of like what's a good example for?
I know that The Right Move, they're forced to be roommates because she needs somewhere to stay. They're also fake dating. So if that sounds interesting and intriguing to you.
I mean, like All Roads Lead Here is like they live like right next to each other.
Yeah,
so
I would
say
that's forced proximity.
But I don't know. I just love when they're like forced to get to know each other.
Yeah, because it's like it's kind of like
especially if they're enemies.
There's like the sense of like they are forced, like they're so close to each other, so like they either ignore each other or like they're kind of forced into like these small everyday conversations, and like you actually see like there's a reason that interest can be building, or like they're curious about this person, they slowly get to know them a little bit more and more, and then they're kind of like, hey, maybe they're not so bad. And I
say God's here for that one. Okay. I love it, especially like enemies to lovers with forced proximity is beautiful. Okay, Paranormal. I haven't read any.
I don't even have an example of that.
Didn't you read Layla?
Oh, that weirded me out.
What'd you rate it? 3 stars?
Yes.
Would that be one you'd like go back and give 2, or like were you
No,
fine?
it can probably stay at 3 because there was something where like I don't fully even remember what it was, but it was like it really could have taken a weird turn, and then like it kind of like was okay because of like how things ended up in the end, but I was like, this could have been weird.
Okay. So could live without /
yes.
Unreadable. Love Triangle.
I have mixed emotions on Love Triangle because I don't usually like in theory, I don't like leading one person on and then like leading another person on, and then like I just don't like that.
I feel like I haven't read any like good. I feel like the last legit love triangle I can think of is like The Hunger Games, because I feel like every other love triangle that I've read recently has been like, this girl's dating this guy, but we don't even get to know that boyfriend. He sucks anyways.
Yeah.
And then she falls in love with this guy.
Recently
like, that's
read
not a good triangle.
I did read Say You Swear. I don't remember who it was by. But I had such mixed feelings on the books because like it had so many like things that I loved, but then so many tropes that I hated. And it was like a genuine love triangle where like you're reading her interaction with this one guy at first, and you're kind of like, oh, like they could be cute together, and then all of a sudden like he doesn't ghost because like they're still our friends, but he's like, we can't, like this isn't gonna happen. So then she enters into like a new relationship. You fall in love with that guy, but then the other guy is still around, and kind of like there's some animosity. He's jealous. And then something happens where, like, I was really getting irked. And I just was like, this is annoying me and bothering me because I just want her to be with one of these guys. But then, so I would say, what's the second to lowest one?
Second to lowest is not my favorite.
I would do that.
I just Googled love triangle books to see what popped up. Shatter Me, Agatar, The Selection, The Hunger Games. So lots of books that, The Hunger Games is the only one of those that I have read. It definitely seems like it's usually more of like a fantasy thing.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely like a love triangle kind of going on in the book a love like a square going on in the book that I'm reading now. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. The thing that is not bothering me necessarily about it right now is that I feel like she's definitely only actually has feelings for one person, but there are other like potential options for her. So
next one is Best Friend's Brother. I love this.
I kind of like it.
The only one I can think of is Ugly Love. Have you read any other ones?
I have read one of my Sarah Adams books, I think, or like one of like my Kindle Unlimited books I know is a Best Friend's Off Limits Rule. That's what it was. And which was like a nice, just simple, easy read.
Should we do God tier for that one?
Sure.
It's like I don't even have a brother, so it's not like I can relate to this. 'Cause I know some girls probably like have actually experienced this where they like had a crush on their brother's best friend. Did I read that right? Oh, I misinterpreted it.
Wait.
I was thinking brother's best friend. This is best friend's brother. Is the other one on here? No.
Should we act like this is brother's best friend?
Okay, that's actually a good question. Are they equivalent to you or are they different?
I feel like they kind of give off a similar enough vibe.
Yeah. Okay, so we can just keep rolling.
Yeah.
But for clarity, the trope listed is best friend's brother. So aside from Ugly Love, I'm kind of at a loss for... I guess, wasn't To Love Jason Thorne kind of brother's best friend, like when they were younger?
Yes. That's a good example.
Any other examples? Or if you have an example of best friend's brother.
No. Not off the top of my head.
So then why do I love it so much? I love the idea of it.
Can't think of it.
I just feel like it is part of like that forbidden nature, but not in the sense that it's forbidden for any reason other than like, you can't date my friend or my brother.
Yeah. To say you swear actually kind of is that too. A little bit.
Did you like that part of it?
I did it first, and then there's the whole love triangle thing going on. Anyway. That book had a lot of layers to it.
I love The Best Friend's Brother or Brother's Best Friend. Arranged Marriage.
See, I don't know that I've read any books like this, but in Bridgerton, I eat that up.
Or like,
because it's the enemies to lovers if they do hate each other.
I also think of Marriage of Convenience. To Love Jason Thorne was like a weird marriage of convenience where I thought the book was going to be something, and I thought my version of what it could have been was so much better than the book that I read. I didn't really think getting married made that much sense for them. It honestly probably could have just been like a fake dating, but they were like, you just get married, I guess. So I feel like I've yet to read a book to change my mind about it being like a really great trope.
Yeah,
so I would say not my favorite.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't want you to get married if you don't want to get married. Like, I want you to want to marry them. So, next one, Second Chance to Love. I would say Before We Were Strangers would be an example of this. Honestly, a lot of like the friends to lovers that we talked about
are like that
are this because it's like you said, friends into strangers, but then not strangers again at the end.
Yeah,
like they are friends, have a falling out, don't talk to each other, come back together for whatever reason.
I usually I love a then and now POV. Like I love that's like every Summer After, Love and Other Words. They both have that like back and forth POV.
Before Your Strangers has that too. Not quite so back and forth, but like present, here's all the past. And now we're back to the present again. And I liked it.
Me too. I would do Obsessed.
Okay. Single Parent. I don't like this one. I won't hate the book just because they're a single parent, but I definitely prefer my main characters to be child-free.
Yeah. I do too.
Like, one of
All
Colleen
Roads Lead
Hoover's
Here,
books,
though, was a great book, and the guy had,
Which
like...
books?
All Roads Lead Here.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a child in that book, and it was
So,
fine.
like, the kid was older.
Yeah, reminders of him. There was a child. She was a single mom. So, it
But, like,
certainly
in that
can
sense,
be done and done well.
Colleen Hoover, one of Colleen Hoover's books, I was, like, reading it. I'm just going to say it was Confess. I was reading, I was like, huh? And then I was like, I'm turned off by this book a little bit. And it ended up being okay. But I just prefer my main characters young, wild, and free with no children attached to them.
Yeah.
So this one I would say not my favorite.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Last one of them is Famous. Again,
I was just going to say, like, when we were talking about To Love Jason Thorne, I was going to be like, that's another trope.
I feel like To Love Jason Thorne is like the only one that I've read like that.
I feel like in some ways, like, this could also go with, like, the athlete thing. So, like, The Right Move would be one.
You've also read Tate Adam Connor, which is too.
Yep. Anything else that I've read where one of them's famous? I guess, like, to be honest, It Happened One Summer. She's, like, famous.
Oh, yeah. I was always thinking of, like, the guy being famous for some reason.
The girl could be famous, too.
That's so sexist of me.
I think it adds kind of, like, a difference in character, like, between the two of them. It's
Like one has to be, like, humbled and brought back down to earth.
Yeah. So I would say average.
That's what I was thinking. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Like, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm kind of indifferent about it. Okay. We have finished all of our book tropes. So, our final ranking. God tier, we have enemies to lovers, stuck together, best friend's brother. Obsessed, we have friends to lovers, good girl, bad boy, second chance love. Average is our longest category and has good boy, bad girl, secret relationship, fake dating, forbidden love, workplace romance, one of them is famous. Not my favorite, we have age gap, billionaire, arranged marriage, single parent, could live without / unreadable. We have royalty, mafia, paranormal.
Like,
love
what even
triangle.
are those? I'm not familiar with those.
So, yeah.
Okay. Next, we dive into... I'm not nervous about this, but I'm just like... We just went through and decided what book boyfriends we were going to include in, like, the
Don't
categories.
compare these.
And, like, you guys, I don't remember every single thing that I read ever. So, we kind of looked some things up, but then we also mostly just went with, like, the overall vibe of if we liked the guy or not, and from what we remembered. So, yeah, if we have any strong ones, like, we'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, otherwise, just bear with us. And, yeah.
Enjoy. We also made this for just books that we've both read, so this is not, like, on the
Certainly
tier
not
website
every
or anything.
book boyfriend ever. It is not.
And obviously very specific to the books that we read. So, our categories that we made were top tier being Marry in a Heartbeat. Second one, gets a few dates. Third, for a friend. Like, you maybe wouldn't date them, but, like, you'd recommend them. Be like, I got a friend for you. Third or fourth, got the ick. And then the last one is, how is this even a romance? This guy sucks.
So let's dive in. How many do we have?
First one, I don't even know. Don't make me count
okay.
them. From Part of Your World, Daniel Grant. So Daniel's a little bit younger than the female main character in this book, whose name I don't remember.
Nope.
The guy's name we had to look up too. Like, there's just no way I would remember half of these names. I remember him being very nice. He was very forward in his interest with her, which compared to, like, him being younger and her being older, I feel like that normally doesn't happen in that scenario. He's an innkeeper. Like, he's got things. He's settled down.
Yeah. But he also, like, just him being younger and, like, them being from kind of just, like, they have two different life situations going on in the book. And he's kind of naive to that a little bit. And so in some ways,
he's like way more into wanting to pursue her than she is in pursuing him. And there's one scene in the book that I will not say in case it's a spoiler, but, like, it made me cringe so much with, like, how forward he was being and like she was still kind of holding back, I was like, oh my god, he'd not just do that. And so with that, he was so sweet. I would say he gets a few dates.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a crime to... Yeah, there were no, like, red flags about him that I remember, anyways. And I feel like everything...
He does kind of give, like, golden retriever energy, which he just said is maybe not my type.
Yeah, but everything, like, gets wrapped up in just, like, such a nice little bow for that book that, like, it all ends well. And you feel good about it.
Next, we have Summer of Broken Rules. The main male character, his name is Whit.
I love this book. I give it 5 stars. And this was also, like, he also gives, like, golden retriever energy. He's very family oriented.
I feel like not to make a pun from his name, but he's also very witty.
Yeah.
And he's just like fun. A very... You like to read their banter.
Yeah. They're, like, teenagers, so just very, like, low stakes, good vibes. Definitely shows his interest in the girl.
I would maybe also put him in Gets a Few Dates.
Okay.
Unless you have a different opinion.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like who I'm gonna root for to like be in the top category because I know you have.
You have to let it come upon you.
Okay.
The Do-Over, Nick Stark. I feel like this is like YA, so I can't, fully like, I'm not gonna be in love with this man.
Yeah.
He's in high school. But he's nice. What's weird about the book is that since it's the same day over and over again,
you see kind of different parts, like his personality or how he would react, and it's like
there's some days you would not think twice about this man.
Yeah.
And
then there's other days like where she has like the best day ever with him, and they get along
like,
great.
Deep conversations. He has suffered some loss and like stuff that contributes to his backstory of why he's not really an open book, kind of closed off from people. Honestly, I just don't love when people have like this tragic backstory that like makes them closed off. I'm like, okay.
Don't we all have things?
Don't we all have stuff? I'm kind of indifferent about him.
He kind of like, from what I remember, I just like get the sense that he's like kind of a nerdy guy.
And
I really
also,
have no reason to, I don't know why, but
I'm pretty sure in the book, at the end, they like avoid each other for a really long time. If I'm thinking the same, like the right book, for no reason. And I'm like, why did he do that?
Like just unnecessary.
Yeah. So
it's like I didn't get the ick from him, but I also kind of am like, I don't know that I was interested in him enough to like recommend him to a friend or anything.
I would say maybe just like got the ick because of like they had this great magical day and she's like, oh my god, like I think I'm in love with this man. He's like, I don't know though, like I'm kind of reserved.
Yeah.
So maybe get the ick. Sorry,
sure.
Nick Stark. You shouldn't have been so rude. Next one, Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow. Neil McNair. This is another YA one.
This is another one where just kind of like, because it's YA, I read these really close together, and like they kind of bleed into one another for me.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil McStark, what am I guess both of them
combine them.
Neil McNair is like valedictorian. He also is kind of like closed off, has like a
I'll tell that you this guy is really not my type.
And yeah. I would be fine. Like, can I think of like one thing that I was like, ugh, I got the ick from him?
I would say maybe for a friend. He's not for me, but maybe for someone I know. Neil McNair, you get the middle tier. Okay, Megan, Every Summer After, Sam Florrick. If you love this man so much.
Did I say I love this man so much?
Actually, I think I have Love in Other Words. These are like the same book, basically. I honestly don't remember much about this guy.
I don't remember much about this guy either. I don't remember here's the thing, because like I remember this book, but like the issue with the book was the girl, and it almost bothers me that like he accepted the girl back after what you find out she did. And so it's like this guy, he was kind of flawed in the fact that like he himself like closes off from the girl and like what they could have, but you end up rooting for them to be together because that's the point of the book. But I'm very middle of the road. Was not in love with this man or anything.
I would be fine putting him in for a friend because I feel like I can't remember enough negative against him, but I also can't remember like enough positive things for him. Okay. Next one. Beach reads Augustus Everett. Despite whatever Megan says, he's going in the top tier. Marry him in a heartbeat.
This is Sierra's favorite romance of all time.
It is. So, therefore, this is my book boyfriend. So, Emily Henry's characters do it for me, like, no matter what. I just think her male characters are so witty and like have a personality of their own that a lot of other romance authors like don't give their men. And I feel like Emily Henry really fleshes both of them out.
I'm not gonna fight you on it. So I also highly
and
enjoyed
like
Beach
it's
Read.
enemies to lovers, but it's like they're really not that much of enemies.
Rivals.
Like they had this academic rival thing, but they're both very open to helping each other out. They make this fun little challenge. They go on these cutesy little dates. And I just love them. So, okay. People we meet on vacation, Alex Nelson.
This was a very forgettable book boyfriend, in my opinion. I don't remember a lot about him.
Which I think is, what's the word I'm looking for? I think a lot of people love this guy, is what I'm saying.
I just remember when I was reading this book, like, nothing that he was doing was really doing it for me. Yeah.
I felt like when I was reading it, I was very much like, okay, like I can see this guy for you.
Like friend zoned until they just decided like they weren't.
Maybe we'll get together.
Yeah.
That's the energy I got too.
So I was like, I wasn't really like rooting for them or anything like that. I just was like, it just seemed more like of convenience and that they both like each other because they're friends. So they're like, maybe we can be more.
And like the reason for them, from what I remember of like why they had this like weird falling out was like, well, I thought you liked each other, so like why would that be an issue? Anyway, kind of like a nothing story, I would say, for a friend. You know, you can have him.
He's all yours.
He's all yours. Okay. Book lovers, Charlie Lostra. I would marry him in a heartbeat too. I almost feel like since Beach Read I read probably a year and a half ago, and Book Lovers I read just like probably a year ago. So I feel like I remember a lot more of like this story specifically. And I just remember Charlie being so like witty, smart, how I would describe every Emily Henry character. I'll see what else I had written down. I also had he was kind of grumpy. Like their first meeting kind of goes off like poorly. Plays into like the grumpy sunshine thing that I like. Although to be fair, both of those characters are probably kind of grumpy. But I just think like their grumpiness like feeds off each other. And it's funny because everyone like around them is like happy-go-lucky, and they're both like, we hate everything.
Yeah.
But we hate everything together. So either gets a few dates or marry him in a heartbeat. I'll let you decide.
I am fine with either. I feel like I would probably do gets a few dates just because like I honestly just don't think I remember the book that like well enough to have like a stronger opinion.
Okay. We'll put him there. Next one is Before We Were Strangers, Matt Shore.
I did really enjoy this character. I really enjoyed the character when he was in the past. Like, especially, I think that mostly really highlights...
Because he's so much different from, like, the typical college guy.
Yeah. I think that's what made it so it was, like, so, like, this is a good guy.
Yeah.
And then, like, when it jumps back to the present timeline, like, things are different. They're older. There obviously has to be a conflict. So, like, working through that is a little bit different where you're not just like in love with him the whole time.
Like it brings a little bit of reality into the story, which takes the romance out of it almost. But the past like was so cute.
Yeah. But I still feel like there's nothing that was like toxic about him, but it was still
I'd say he gets a few dates for me.
Well, I'm saying that's like at least what I would put him at. But I'm like, does he go up to the higher one? It's just like it's hard because it's like I'm not like blinded by only the past, which like if I had been, maybe it'd be like, okay, marry in a heartbeat. But then like I
almost feel like if this makes any sense, like I'm just like I loved him for her. Like not that he wasn't great and like not even like my type, but just like with Gus Everett, I'm like I want him. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh my god, like Matt is great for you. Grace, that was the girl's name.
Yeah.
And like I loved him. But like Gus, I'm like, he's for me.
Not for whatever her name is.
January.
Let's do Matt in the second one.
Okay. It ends with us / it starts with us. We are only doing Atlas Corrigan.
You guys, we've said it before. It Ends With Us is not our favorite Colleen Hoover book. Like,
and we're not even gonna get into the movie that they're starting to make right now. My goodness.
I honestly just like he's kind of a forgettable character to me. I gotta be honest. And it's like I read It Starts With Us because like I felt obligated to, but that book was a whole bunch of nothing. To be honest. There was
again,
no plot.
It's, we can blame the books. Atlas himself was fine. Just across the board. He is like, he does help Lily out of like a toxic situation. So like in that sense, that is objectively good. But like, in a way, you have to say for a friend.
Yeah.
You're going to say you got the ick from him. Are you?
No. I was just saying like the bad part of me was that like I was rooting for Ryle, to be honest.
No,
even though
I feel that.
I shouldn't have been. It'd be interesting for me to reread this book and like see what I think of it now. But yeah.
No, we've already talked about that. Okay. Confess, Owen Gentry. This was my first Colleen Hoover book. I will say,
it's hard.
I was getting like
so long ago.
When I was first reading it, I was kind of sketched out by him because I was like, it was talking about like how he like recognizes this girl, and I'm like, is this like stalker vibes? And it ends up being fine, like the more you read. But that was my first like romance that I read, and I was like, are all romances like stalker vibes? That was like my initial thought, and I was like, maybe romance won't be for me. I don't like that he hides a lot about himself. Obviously, the book is called Confess. Both characters have secrets that they're not willing to share when they first meet, but like this character was made out to be essentially like flawless, except for like, oh no, like this one bad thing happens and like now he's the worst. But actually, he was just saving someone's like life by doing that like kind thing that like
I like
took him down the drain.
Can't remember this book except for vibes.
So I mean, from my memory, I'm gonna say either gets a few dates or for a friend.
But let's do for a friend.
Okay. Owen Gentry. Keep in mind, this is also probably like very skewed by like the length of time since we read this. If you like just read one of these books
and you're
probably
shocked,
like, oh my god, I loved that man, or you hated that man.
The further in time it gets, the more indifferent we get.
Okay. Verity, Jeremy Crawford.
This guy, like, I loved this book. Everyone loves this book, but like, I would not be dating this man. He's sketchy. Like, the whole book is sketchy. That's the
thing. How
they
first meet. So wild.
Yeah.
I mean, Colleen Hoover definitely just like, she writes whatever she wants, and somehow we just eat it up. Not everyone does. I know some people don't like her books, but
like just because of how kind of insane this story is, and like, would I date this man? Like, I would almost like he's got to go and like get the ick, or how is this romance? Because
let's do that, because I don't even remember being like that drawn to him. Like as like
it was just like I was watching from afar. It was more about the story. It was less about the romance, but we felt obligated to include it anyways.
Reminders of him, Ledger Ward. This is one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books. I gave this one 5 stars, and I love Ledger.
I do too. I would say he deserves to be in the top one.
Marry him in a heartbeat.
Like, he's caring. He's family oriented. He
tries to like help out, even though like by putting himself in this situation, it puts himself at odds with people he's been close with before. But he sees the good in people and like wants to create.
He wants
to bring a family together.
Yeah.
And he's just so sweet, and I loved him. Like, I just remember, like, reading that book, being, like, giggling.
Ledger is
like,
a good guy.
Giggling, like,
kicking my feet.
Just, like, kicking my feet. Okay. November 9th, Ben Kessler.
This was my first Colleen Hoover book. And I sped through this book. So I know I loved it. And the concept of the book, so interesting, lived for it. In terms of, like, book boyfriend, he's definitely a questionable character. And
I just honestly, like, if you think about, like, a guy, like, seeing you one day every year, I'd be like, God, you can't like me that much.
Yeah, and especially because, like, within those meetings, like, they don't all work out perfectly because, like, life happens and other stuff is going on. Like, and like you said, like, okay, so clearly you don't love me enough to just be like, let's stop doing whatever deal we have going on here. And
and then at the end of the book, you figure out, what he did. Just kind of questionable stuff going on. Maybe, like, he'd probably give me the ick, at the end of the day. Yeah. I'd be like, wait.
Like, I would recommend reading this book. It's great entertainment.
And, like, you will root for them to get together.
Yes. But, like,
for me,
for ourselves.
If that happened to me, I'd be like, maybe this isn't the best. Okay. Next one is Ugly Love, Miles Archer. This was, like, Megan and I's favorite Colleen Hoover book. Which I know a
love
lot of people hate
book.
this book.
I know there are some weird things about the book.
Seen people,
okay,
like,
you guys
showing quotes from the book.
Don't even don't re-show me the quotes. Okay, after I've already established how much I love this book. Here's the thing that Sierra and I were kind of talking about. I think that what we're kind of blinded by and what we're going to keep in mind as we rank it here for like book boyfriend purposes is that like we love this book. We loved the tension between
The characters.
Miles and Tate in the book, and you're rooting for them. It's kind of toxic, but like it makes for great entertainment and an entertaining read, and you're just rooting for them to get together because it's like a friends with benefits situation, and she wants it to be more and he is not wanting it to be anything more. And
That being said,
kind of toxic.
honestly, he'd get a few dates from me. Like, it'd be like the type of person who'd be like,
I'd be like,
talk me out of it, Megan. Talk me out of it. But I'm going.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it would be.
Yeah. I'd be like, you got to help keep my head on
Like,
straight.
I'm leaving. Pull me back inside.
Oh, I'm heading out.
Should I stay home? I'm already gone. So, okay, next one. It Happened One Summer, Brendan Taggart. I really like how he's pretty forward with, like, initially he dislikes Piper because of her being famous and kind of airheaded, but then, like, he gets to know her pretty willingly, and, like, once he does, he loses that judgmentalness.
Like, it's kind of like, oh, I actually realized that I do kind of like you. I'm not going to play dumb here and act like something couldn't happen between us.
Mm-hmm.
So
like, he doesn't say, like, well, you're an airhead. Like, I would never date you. He says, like, oh, I, like, had the wrong first impression of you.
Mm-hmm.
He's hardworking. He's a king crab fisherman off the coast of Maine or something. Or is it the other side of
Washington?
Could be Washington. I don't know. I like him a lot. He's kind of like that down-to-earth, like, keeps to himself, quiet guy.
Rural guy.
You know?
Small town. They should have small town.
He's also like an acts
trope.
of service guy, which I like. Acts of service. He helps put that whole bar together for them. So I would see, like, definitely for sure gets a few dates. For me,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd marry him in a heartbeat.
Right.
So Brendan Taggart, you get to go and gets a few dates. Next, the duology of the book, Hook, Line, and Sinker with
This
Fox
would be
Thornton.
like category
Fox
like
is
for a
way
friend.
more
for a
for
friend.
me. Oh, you're saying below?
I think
I'm your friend.
He's got like a little too much like baggage for me personally to kind of be like, oh, I see myself dating you, but like I think he's a good guy and a sweetheart, but I just like don't see it for myself. So
for a friend, for me. So then, where should we put that?
I mean, I guess if you want to be the friend deciding he goes up higher.
We can put him in for a friend, but just know I'm your friend. I mean, he's definitely getting a few days from me. I loved him. I just like, I know he's like kind of a screw up, but like he's trying his best, you know? And like, yeah, okay. The Soulmate Equation, Dr. River Pina.
I like this book. I loved, and I gave it like I think 4.5 stars. But like as a book boyfriend, like this guy, Dr. River Pina, is very much just kind of like matter of fact, straightforward, to the point. Like he's not. He
Kinda
can
boring.
be charming, but like he is a little bit boring. He's not too
Like,
crazy.
he's coming home from work and you're doing the dishes.
but he's very purposeful.
like, that's your husband.
And yeah, but it's not as exciting.
So
I would say
I just
I'd
put
give
him in for a friend. Or would you give him a few dates?
I was gonna say like I rated the book so highly. I feel like I have to give him a few dates.
Okay, we can do that. River Pina gets a few dates. Okay. Next one is Love in Other Words, Elliot Petropoulos.
I loved this book.
Is this
I
your
really did.
top tier Mary and Heartbeat? Because I'll give you whatever your one is.
I know. I'm like I haven't put one up there, have I?
I mean, we agreed on Ledger Ward.
True. I feel like let's put him up there since
If it
I
was
love that book
just
so
me, I'd probably give him a few dates. Or for a friend. I don't know. I just don't really remember, like, you loved this book way more than I did. And I feel, like, indifferent about the guy. I know he was sweet. He loves to read. The Hating Game, Joshua Templeman. I remember...
I get the ick now.
I think I would get the ick, too. If you know, like, his bedroom wall color, if you think about that, you'd get the ick pretty fast if that was in real life. you're staying in his apartment, I'd be like, oh, that's sweet.
That's
Cool, I guess. Next is 99% Mine, Tom Valeska. Hated this book. I should go back and give it 2 stars because I gave it 3 when I first read it. It's honestly mostly the girl that's annoying, though.
It is the girl.
I don't even remember the guy, if I'm being honest. This is brother's best friend, though. Did we say that?
No, but you're right.
I feel like since I don't remember much about him, like,
He didn't leave an impression.
Can go in either for a friend or got the ick. He didn't, like, give me the ick, I guess. Maybe he, like, gives me the ick because he likes that girl, honestly.
Yeah. To be honest, like, he's so forgettable. Like, I feel like just put him there.
Okay. We got the ick. Next is The Love Hypothesis, Adam Carlson.
I liked this book, but there were things that gave me pause about it.
I would be fine giving him the ick, if that's what you were thinking. I was like, why did that TM go so small? I'm putting, like, initials in. It's because that's trademark.
I just, like, the idea of... I mean, I ate this book up, too. I read it very quickly. I was, entertainment value-wise, loved it. But then in terms of, like, thinking about the relationship and is it okay, like, there's kind of, like,
it does a lot to be like, no, this is good. Like, this is fine. Because it's, like, kind of like a teacher-student type of thing. But they're like, no, like, he's not her teacher.
But
like, it's kind of...
He's a PhD. Like, he has his doctorate and she's
a student.
Trying to get her PhD. Like, there's certainly things where I'm like, that should not have happened. So, like, I would maybe go with the egg.
Okay. Love on the Brain, Levi Ward. This one's better.
It is better.
It's like that.
It's kind of a workplace romance a little bit.
It is. I would say get a few dates for me.
I would say that too. I liked these two together. I liked the guy. I thought that he's smart.
Doesn't always he had more outward
say
personality.
How he feels, but that's because he's kind of like not sure how she feels either.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. I liked him.
Next, we're finishing up here. All Roads Lead Here. I love this book. I gave this book 5 stars. It's like definitely the longest slow burn that I've read. And then I tried reading from, I never remember the title of this book. Luke Hobb with Love. Because it was also a slow burn. I was like, maybe I'm like a slow burn girly. Did not like that one that much. But this one, loved the main character. I just felt like he was so like mature. Because he has like this family and he's just like trying to take care of things at home. And like cares for the female main character like the entirety of the book without it being romantic necessarily, which to me just shows like he's got like high moral character, like he's putting in the work just to like make sure she feels comfortable, and then he slowly falls in love with her.
I would be fine with getting a couple dates.
Okay, that's fine with me. Okay, I think this might be the last one.
We do not need to do a full recap at the end.
We won't. Heartbones, Samson Bennett. This one's for a friend, like my crazy wild friend.
Yeah. I liked Samson. He was sweet, but he's kind of like, he has kind of a tricky past.
He's like the Fox Thornton that I wouldn't want to do with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
But he means well, and he loves hard, and all of that. Mm-hmm. So, there you have it. There is our...
We only had 3 make it to the top. Augustus Everett, Ledger Ward, and Elliot Petropoulos. So, and I think those are pretty good overall picks. Last thing we'll leave you guys with are just a couple of our most anticipated reads. And you guys can let us know if you've read any of these or what your anticipated reads are. So mine, top of the list right now, first of all, I'm reading Happy Place, which is, it was for sure my most anticipated read. Next, Meet Me at the Lake is Carly Fortune's second book, and I'm excited for that one. What was the book that it sounded similar to? Do you remember? It sounded like a carbon copy of a book that we've already read, but we liked it.
Yes, but I don't need, like, if you told me the premise of Meet Me at the Lake, then I'd maybe be able to.
I might look it up while Megan reads her stuff. Yours Truly is supposed to be like a duology installment of Part of Your World.
That was on my list. I also have The Love Wager by
I do too.
Painter.
And then I have 2 non-romance ones. So I have 20 Years Later, which honestly at this, like in my head, I don't remember what it's about, but it has like a 4.2 average rating or something. And for me, when I see, I believe it's like a thriller or something. And so to me, when it's that high and had like 50,000 reviews, that's pretty good. It sounded interesting. And then I also have The Lincoln Highway as one up here because it's been on my TBR for a while, and I want to continue to try and read more like historical fiction type of stuff and see if I will like it or not. And I hear like a lot of good things about it.
I also have A Happy Place, Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, comes out in June.
Oh, Meet Me by the Lake or Meet Me at the Lake is similar to November 9th.
That's what I was wondering.
It has a 3.83 average rating now.
Goodness. The Bodyguard by Catherine Senner. When it comes out in paperback, I will be reading that book. It's been on my list for quite a while. Those are probably my top ones, I would say.
Okay, well, hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. This is for all you readers out there. Looking forward to a fully book episode. Let us know if you would have ranked The Boyfriends any differently or The Tropes or whatever. We would love to hear it. If you were watching on YouTube,
book boyfriend is.
Yeah, who is your top? And then if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a like, leave a comment. If you're listening, please subscribe or do whatever you can on whatever app you're listening on.
Otherwise, we will talk to you guys next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.